We are back with another alignment chart video. Guys, this is Sean with PDMA, and today we're going to be doing an alignment chart of grappling organizations. We're going to be covering everybody from your local circuit grappling organizations to some of the biggest names in the sport. Couple things before we get started. I promise I'll keep this intro quick. For one, if you are not familiar with this type of video, you can either check out my other videos that I've done in this style. I'll have those linked here. But if you don't feel like doing that, basically what we're going to be doing here is we're going to take an alignment chart, which is typically used in role-playing games to either determine or explain a character's moral compass. And we're going to be assigning grappling leagues to each of those categories that you'll see here in a minute. It's a pretty basic concept, and you'll get it as we go along. And then two, just remember, as always, these things are just for fun. I might say something in here you disagree with. If you vehemently disagree with me, feel free to leave it in the comments. Maybe I got something wrong. But with that being said, let's get started. Okay, so this is our alignment chart. If you look here, we have our good across the top. We have our neutral across the middle row here, and our evil across the bottom. We also have lawful along the left, neutral along the middle again, and chaotic across the right. So as I go on, I'll try to do a decent job of explaining what each of these little boxes mean, but again, you'll probably catch on as we go with these descriptions. Also keep in mind that, like I said, these are grappling organizations, so some of these may be regionalized. If you hear one you're not familiar with, it might just not exist in your area. I tried to do a decent job of picking ones that I know exist at least all across the US. So if you're not in the US, some of these might not be in your area, but a lot of them you should have at least heard of if you're in the grappling space. So lawful good. So when we think lawful good, and you're going to see me look over here at my list of definitions, we think characters like Superman, we think characters like Obi-Wan, we think characters who do the right thing. They follow a code. So for that one, I don't think this is going to come as a shock to most people. We have the good old Tap Cancer Out. If you are not familiar with Tap Cancer Out, they are a grappling organization that puts on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournaments to raise money for cancer research. I don't think anybody can really argue too much against this one. The tournaments actually tend to be pretty well run, at least in my experience. I've been to a couple. The organization seems to actually do what they say they're going to do, which is really nice in a charitable organization because, as we know, that's not always the case. And yeah, Tap Cancer Out. It's a good time for a good cause. You get to have, I think most of the time you get a decent amount of matches as long as people show up. And that's another kind of category we're going to be using for some of the, or another qualifier we're going to be using for some of these more local organizations is things like amount of matches and whatnot. But again, I'm probably getting ahead of myself. Neutral good. So neutral good, again, similar to lawful good, and by again, I mean I've said it in past videos. We're thinking our Luke Skywalkers, we're thinking our Jon Snows, we're thinking people who do good, but maybe don't have as strict of a moral code. In terms of grappling organizations, don't look too far into it, but I'm sure some D&D nerd is going to, because, you know, I'm a D&D nerd, and that's what I would do if I was watching this video. So, our neutral good is going to be an organization that I think most people should be familiar with, but if you're not, I'll explain. This organization is Grappling Industries, and this blurry logo. So Grappling Industries, if you are not familiar, is I'd say a smaller organization. They are big as in they put on a lot of events. They get good turnouts in most areas that they operate in. But they're not, they're not IBJJF, they're not ADCC. They're a smaller local organization. That's what they exist for. They don't exist to try to be, at least to my knowledge, to try to be the #1 grappling organization on the planet. I think they're more for, people either beginners or if you're just looking to compete locally, have some fun on a weekend. I think they're personally great for that. One reason I really like Grappling Industries in particular is you are, as long as you're in a weight class and skill level that has a decent amount of people, so, sorry, ladies, that's kind of who gets, try not to use too much foul language, but gets kind of, screwed here. Yeah. So if you're, I know a lot of times with the women and there's not as many people, but if you're a guy and you sign up for Grappling Industries, what's kind of cool is, don't quote me on this when you're signing up for their tournament, but I'm pretty sure they do some sort of deal where it's like, if you sign up for gi, it costs like $80, you can do no gi for free or something. I don't know, my face is so itchy today. But, you know, it's pretty, it's like you get a good deal. And then I think for like $20 extra, you can do the absolute division. So if you're just looking to get a bunch of matches, maybe you're prepping for something, or maybe you just want to spend a weekend, competing. You got some teammates competing and you guys just want to get a bunch of matches. I think Grappling Industries is perfectly, I think they're great for that. Is the competition guaranteed to be super high level? No. But to be honest with you, maybe that's not what you want. Maybe you're a hobbyist and, you want to have some good, strong competition, but you don't want to just go somewhere where you're going to get mauled. I think Grappling Industries is great for that. So Grappling Industries is going to take our neutral good spot. Now, if you've been following this channel, you're probably not surprised what's going to land in our chaotic good. If you watched the first one of these I did with the active male competitors, yeah, CJI is chaotic good, and I dare anybody, maybe besides Mojasm, to argue that. What? Who said that? Not me. CJI is the Craig Jones Invitational. It is a newer organization, actually brand new, and will be taking place in a couple weeks. I think 2 weeks from when this video comes out. But the reason I put it in chaotic good is the chaotic part, I think, is pretty understandable. The way Craig's going about, I don't want to say stealing athletes, but, obtaining athletes from ADCC and some other competitions. The fact that it's on the same weekend as ADCC, I could go on, but I'm sure you're probably familiar. And then, of course, the good, because, this organization, at least publicly, was organized to be a benefit to the grapplers. So I think this is a really good example of chaotic good. They're going about it their own way, for sure. Some people like it, some people don't like it. I'm a fan. But yeah, CJI, chaotic good. I also just saw the announcement that Zach Maslany is going to be one of the judges, which is really cool because Zach's a really cool guy. He runs finishers, and I think he's going to be really good at that. I was trying to figure out if I actually knew that already or not. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's move on to Lawful Neutral. Now, Lawful Neutral, this one's going to get some pushback. The only thing is, the subset of people who would give this pushback are typically not very active on grappling social media. You'll see what I mean in a second. Well, I'll say the stereotypical person who competes in this organization. And that's because it is IBJJF. Oops. Well, you guys just saw, I'm not perfect. Okay, IBJJF. Now, what do I mean by this person's not on social media? I mean the stereotypical, traditional jiu-jitsu competitor. I think a lot of the social media noise we see is from new school competitors, and IBJJF, while it's still a thriving organization, and I'm still a fan, when I think IBJJF, I'll put it this way. I think more old school competitor. Of course, there's very modern people competing in IBJJF and that are on social media and whatnot. But the reason I put them in Lawful Neutral is because I think they do have a code. Now, whether that code is good or bad is up for debate. We have very traditional rules. I would say very hesitant to change their rules to adapt to modern jiu-jitsu. That could be a good or bad thing. So that's why they're neutral. And I will say it's not like they've never changed the rules. Of course, IBJJF does change their rule set. But, I think generally speaking, we can say if anybody's a little reluctant to adapt, it is the IBJJF. They have their rules and they're sticking to them. And that's cool. And whether that's good or bad, that's up to you. So that's where that lands. Lawful Neutral is IBJJF. Now, the true neutral. This one might seem a little weird at first, especially for those of you that have been around a while. Bear with me. For our true neutral, I don't know why I'm having so much Photoshop issues today. We have NAGA, the North American Grappling Association You know them, you love them, maybe, possibly, NAGA. So, why is NAGA true neutral? By a lot of accounts, NAGA is kind of the opposite of neutral. Well, I don't want to say the opposite, but they don't scream neutral to a lot of people. Especially with this logo. This is just not a neutral logo. I mean, you put these flames and this lettering. I mean, this logo has not changed since the early 2000s. By the way, side note, guys, I love logos. So when I look at this NAGA logo, I mean, that is as early 2000s. That logo has a tribal tattoo. So, and probably one of those like Tasmanian devil tattoos that everybody had back then. So NAGA, back to the point here. NAGA is neutral because one, they've been around forever and everybody has competed with them. Some of the biggest names in our sport got their start going to NAGAs. So for some reason, to me, a place where I can have a future world champion and a overweight dad competing on the same card, that screams neutral to me. Everybody's kind of welcome. Why are they not in the good in that case? Well, because they're expensive compared to a lot of other grappling organizations. And unlike Grappling Industries, there's a reason they're right under Grappling Industries. Unlike Grappling Industries, they do single elimination for the most part. I don't know, maybe there's situations where they don't. But in Grappling Industries, they tend to do more like round robin type stuff. Whereas NAGA, you might pay, I think there was one this weekend. I think it was like $130. And you might be a hobbyist paying $130 and get out there, get that future world champion as your first match, and then that's your only match, and you just got smashed. So, you know, okay, take the good with the bad. I definitely would never say don't do a NAGA. Well, I don't say never, but for most people, I think it's a good organization to get your start in. You can get some good looks. The rule set's very interesting. The gi rule set, I believe, still mirrors IBJJF, but the no-gi rule set's kind of the Wild West. I mean, as a white belt, you can basically do anything but heel hook, and maybe like scissor takedown. So that's kind of cool. And that's basically where I feel on NAGA. I think NAGA, there's a lot of things where I go, yeah, it's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. And then I go, it's not that cool. So that's why it's neutral. Hopefully you guys agree with me. Sorry, I keep moving the screen. And if you don't agree with me, let me know. As always, let me know how big of an idiot I am. All right, Choatic Neutral. Now, for this one, we're going to go back in time a little bit, but we're going to talk about a modern organization. So we're going to talk about ADCC. Now, if you had asked me years ago, before I trained Jiu-Jitsu, which, you know, obviously I didn't know who they were before I trained Jiu-Jitsu. Actually, I think ADCC was on my radar before I started training, but not like they are now, obviously. So back in the day, ADCC was a disruptor. The IBJJF was very popular. There was other invitationals and that type of thing that was a little more popular. And I don't think ADCC, I think they were a disruptor to a lot of that going on. Obviously, the biggest current, no-gi, when we think of no-gi competition, we think of the highest level no-gi competition. Of course, IBJJF has great no-gi competitors, but ADCC is kind of, where most of us are looking for that, and they were kind of the first ones where we started looking for that. I think a lot of what in this day and age people think of as jiu-jitsu, and I'm talking in August of 2024, has a lot to do with what ADCC created. So what the heck does that have to do with them being chaotic neutral? Well, the chaos comes from that. The chaos comes from the fact that they started as a disruptor, and they've sort of shaped our landscape. So, and I don't think it was planned. That's why I didn't put it in like lawful. It's not like, they probably set out to make the world's best no-gi grappling association, but I don't think you could plan for what exactly impact they had on the sport. But I put them in neutral. Well, because, we have CJI in the Chaotic Good. So when there's an organization that forms directly in response to your organization, directly in response to shortcomings in your organization, I think that qualifies you as neutral. I don't think it's a bad organization. I'm a huge ADCC fan. I will talk good about CGI and I will talk good about ADCC. I love what they have done with the sport. I still have a lot of friends that compete in ADCC. I'm very, very excited for this year's ADCC. Again, I have a couple friends, and then I have just a fan of pretty much everybody who's competing, so I'm so excited to watch that. I think it's a great organization, but I'm keeping them in neutral. You know, if you have a problem with that, if you have a problem with this one, every other one, if you have a problem with, complain in the comments. If you have a problem with this one, complain to Craig Jones directly. And you're going to be like, I saw this random guy on YouTube who you have no idea who he is. Anyway, let's get into the Evil. Evil's always the most fun. When it comes to doing people in Evil, I always feel bad. Like I always say, with the Archetypes ones, I had a lot more fun. And with this one, I really had some fun. So, Lawful Evil. Now, I think people are going to agree with the evil part of this one. We'll see what you guys think about the lawful part of this one. Let me know. Fight to win. Now, let's talk logos here for a second. Now, this is my fault that it's blurry because I grabbed it off of their website and didn't check on what size this was. But, fight to win. First of all, if this was a logo alignment chart, this is the most good logo of all time. I mean, we have, this and NAGA. If I only had this and NAGA up on the screen right now, you'd be like, oh, is this YouTube video from 2007? Like, look at this. Fight, and then the number 2, and then this W here, and it's the 2 at the bottom is a black belt, and then we have the fight, the 2 in the negative space, and the win underneath that. Sorry if you can't see it too well with the black. I put it on the dark color background. I think this logo is phenomenal. Again, hasn't changed since 2007, and no one's going to make Seth Daniels change it. So, and if they do, Seth, don't change this logo. It's perfect. It's the most just boring 2007 logo I've ever seen. It's the most, I don't know, it just fits in with that like old school MMA, jiu-jitsu look. Like, again, this and NAGA, man. Sorry, this isn't a video about logos, but I just love this logo. I think it's hilarious. Anyway, yeah, fight to win, Lawful Evil. Look, I don't know Seth Daniels. I said his name already, so I might as well talk about him. I don't know Seth. I've met him a couple times. Quickly. I've been to a couple fight to wins. Always been good promotions. That being said, got some negative press for a boy Seth throughout his career. I'll leave it at that. You can Google if you want to know more about that, because I'm not here to talk about things I don't know about. But that's one of the reasons we're putting it in awful. Now, putting it in lawful, did I say awful? Evil. That's why it's an evil. Now, I'm putting it in lawful because it's been around for a while. And when you go to these shows, they are pretty well run for the most part, in my experience anyway. They actually do a pretty good job of giving people who might not get to be on a stage of that size opportunities. And I always appreciate that. You always have the guy maybe who's the local, does a lot of like NAGA and grappling industries, but doesn't really get a chance to shine. I think Fight to Win does a good job of getting, people that opportunity. But I see Fight to Win, not just the logo, but I see them as like still a little old school, a little stuck in the old ways, and that's fine. It's cool if that's what's working for them. So that's why, when I think, I'm thinking lawful, I'm thinking traditional, I'm thinking code here. Maybe that's not the right way to interpret that, but it's my chart, so that's what we're gonna do. This next one, sorry. I know I do this dumb thing when I make these videos where I go, okay, on to the next one, and then I look at my screen and I get this dumb little smirk on my face, and I go like I do that for almost every single one. So I'm sorry if you're annoyed by that, because I'm annoyed by that when I'm editing these videos. And I get my itchy face. So this next one, though, I think it's pretty appropriate. We have for our neutral evil category the PBJJF. I don't know why I grabbed such small logos for all these, and they're all blurry at that size. Sorry. Anyway, the PBJJF. Now, fun story about logos. This is just a logo video at this point. So, fun story about logos. When I was looking up PBJJF, I was like, yes, I'm going to put their logo, and then I'm going to be able to talk about their logo in the video. And then I was looking on their official website because I wanted the up-to-date logo. And this was the logo they had, this P in brackets. And I was like, what the hell? That's not the logo for PBJJF that we all know and love. And if you guys have been around long enough, you know what I'm talking about. And I actually meant to pull it up, so let's do that. Okay, and through the magic of editing, this is what I was looking for. This might look a little familiar to some people when we are talking about logos. Huh. Anyway, I just thought that was a fun thing to bring up. But this was the logo I was expecting to find, because this is the logo I have been familiar with them. And apparently recently they changed it. Maybe it wasn't recently, I don't know. Sometime they changed it. The last PBJJF event that I went to featured this logo. So you know what? Let's reject modernity, embrace tradition. We're going to put this PBJJF logo on there. The first ever live alignment chart video Audible called. So, why is PBJJF in Neutral Evil? Because stop leaving your flyers all over the place. I don't really have a problem with this organization. I'm just so tired of all the promotional material. You guys may have heard the story because it kind of made its rounds on like Reddit and stuff like that. But at ADCC East Coast Trials 23, yeah, last October, if you parked at the hotel where the event was being held, and I was staying at that hotel, they put flyers on everybody's car. They put flyers everywhere. And then just throughout my life, I don't think I've seen more flyers for our organization. I don't think I've seen more posters. They drop them off at the gyms all the time. And look, I don't have a problem with this organization. I know there's like some history with them and IBJJF, whatever. Stop leaving your flyers everywhere. I don't want them. Just do internet marketing campaigns. In fact, I run a company that you can hire for that. If you're out there, PBJJF, and also that's hard to say. But they're in Neutral Evil for the flyer thing. The events are actually pretty. Actually, okay, I've been to one, and it was fine. It was well run. Not too many competitors, but it could have just been other stuff going on that day. I'm just salty about all the promo material. That's realistically what it is. Maybe it's because I train at a gym in a city and they're always there whenever one of their organizations is coming up. Do you guys have that problem? Let me know if you train like a more rural area. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking about flyers and the PBJJF, and we're gonna get on to our last one. I did it again. So, Choatic Evil. We are ending with one that I'm not sure if you guys have heard of, but I really hope you have, and I know at least some of you have heard of this. This is the blurriest logo of all time. That's my fault, not their fault. I don't know why I just make them so big to prop on the screen. The American Grappling Federation. The American Grappling Federation. If Grappling Industries is Target, American Grappling Federation is Walmart. This is one of the craziest local organizations I have ever competed with. Maybe this is just how it is up in my area in Philly, but I've never competed in one of these. I have coached at a couple, maybe two. This is insane. I mean, the one time I was there, this guy who was just being straight up obnoxious, and I don't want to say too much about this guy, but he was being straight up obnoxious as a coach, like crazy obnoxious. He was saying some things that you should not say to anybody, never mind a competitor in a jiu-jitsu tournament when you're a coach. And he was saying that, and he was saying it very loudly, and he was trying to make his point known. And then after that match, he literally got up from his chair, put on a referee shirt, and then went and reffed a match, and was an awful ref, and then came back and coached again, and then was like acting like that again. I don't know why the organization didn't take care of that. Whatever. That's not a judgment on them necessarily. I don't know what happened. But that was crazy. And I've seen things like that at American Grappling Federation. I've also, there's a bunch of gyms I've never heard of at these, and I don't quite know what that means. I don't know if it's good or bad. But I'm pretty involved in jiu-jitsu. Like it's, you know, something I do every single day, not just train, but you know, I'm around people that do this, you know, for a living. Friends with gym owners. I work for gyms. If I've never heard of your gym, and like we're in like, you know, similar area, again, doesn't, not any reflection on the quality of the gym. It's just kind of weird. Like I know somebody from every gym, and then I go to like this American Grappling Federation, and I'll be like, oh, like where are you guys? You must have been a long drive. You came from out of town or something like that. They're like, no, we're like down the street. We have, you know, 4 members, and we're like, yeah. And hey, dude, do you? That's cool. Um, anyway, American Grappling Federation is going to be our chaotic evil, and that's going to conclude our alignment chart of grappling organizations. Yeah, NAGA, Fight to Win, best logos on here. And hopefully you guys liked that video. If you did, please, I just ask you do the things all the other YouTubers ask you to do. Like, comment, subscribe, share. That always helps. If you liked it, share it with a friend. If you guys like this style of content, you can always follow me. I'm very active on Instagram at People Doing Martial Arts. If you guys want to support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is you can head over to pdmastore.com, which will be linked below. We sell t-shirts, hats like this. I have rain jackets. Got a whole bunch of merch over there. It's pretty cool. If you go check that out, it'll be linked below. And other than that, thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you next time.